Hello, everyone. My name's Stephen Connell, and tonight I have the pleasure of introducing Venerable Kelsang Ani from the Kadampa Meditation Center here in Perth. General Ani's been studying and practicing modern Kadampa Buddhism and meditation with Venerable Geshe, Kelsang, Gyatso, Rinpoche for over 15 years. Ani teaches with a warmth and compassion, making modern Buddhism accessible and applicable to all. Tonight, Kelsang Ani is going to be guiding a meditation for us first for the next 30 or so minutes, followed by a talk and perhaps another guided meditation after that. What her talk will be on the kindness and interconnectedness of all living beings, so that regardless of our physical situation, we genuinely feel that wherever we look, we find not only the kindness of others, but that we are interconnected in a web of kindness from which it is impossible to separate ourselves. So please join me in welcoming Venerable Kelsang Ani. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, can everybody hear me okay? No? Okay. Okay. It's always good to do the sound checks first. Let's put that in front of me. I suppose I need to keep saying something. It's working now. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for coming along this evening and giving me the opportunity to talk with you for a little while. So, it's very lovely to meet you all. So, as Stephen said, we'll begin with some meditation. So we'll just do a simple breathing meditation to help us settle our minds and create some mental space. So probably many of you are quite familiar with breathing meditation. So what we're going to do is, once we settle ourselves into a comfortable posture, checking that our backs are straight but not tense, allowing our hands to rest in our laps and our eyes cast down, we will set a pure intention for our meditation and then turn our attention to our breathing. So just breathe gently and naturally, and we try to become aware of the sensation of our breath at the tip of our nostrils. So I'm just going to explain the meditation all the way through, and then we'll start from the beginning and I'll guide it. So just for the benefit of those perhaps less familiar. So we'll focus for a little while, become aware of the sensation of our breath at our nostrils. That sensation at the tip of the nostrils is what we call our object of meditation. So this means what we want to concentrate on. And we try then to concentrate on that sensation to the exclusion of everything else. Right? So I don't know how much experience everyone has here, but it sounds quite easy, but perhaps we know in practice it's not always that easy, because our mind doesn't want to stay still. No, it's very used to moving a lot. You know, we have a lot of distractions in our modern world, and our mind's constantly moving. So it doesn't necessarily, immediately or readily, stay still. So we need to be patient. And whenever our mind wanders from our breath, gently, but immediately bring it back. And if we keep coming back to our breath, try to stay moment by moment just on our breath, gradually all the mental busyness that we experience will begin to subside, our mind will become still, and we will then experience a sense of inner peace, like a calm, spacious feeling inside, which is very beautiful and kind of gives us some break from the busyness of our lives. So we will just take our time to do this. You know, Buddha used this beautiful analogy. He said if you scoop up water from a very turbulent part of a stream and set it down, Now, to begin with, it's very murky, but if you just leave it, let it be still, gradually, in its own time, the sediment subsettles and the crystal clear nature of the water is revealed. Yeah, so like our mind's a bit like murky water. It's very busy, all this stuff swirling around in it. And if we allow ourselves to be still, focus just on our breath, allow our mind to become still, then all that busyness subsides and like the clear, calm nature of our mind is revealed. Like naturally that happens. So we don't need to push, we don't need to force it. We just gently keep coming back to our breath and focus moment by moment on that sensation. Let everything else go. All right? So we'll do this for a little while. If you'd like to get yourselves comfortable, hopefully in a position that you can keep for perhaps the next 20 minutes. Don't worry if you need to move during that time. But if you can, then it's helpful to be able to be still, physically still. So try, if you're able, to keep your back straight, but not tense. Allow your hands to rest comfortably in your lap, your eyes to cast down. So once we have physically settled, we can begin to mentally settle. Letting go of the busyness of our lives, of our day. And bringing our awareness into the room, to the present moment. And giving ourselves permission to let go, just be. We can then set the intention to engage in this meditation in order to become a more calm and happy person, able to share this sense of calm and happiness with others. And with this pure motivation, we turn to our breathing. Breathing gently and naturally. Become aware of the sensation of your breath at the tip of the nostrils. This sensation of the breath entering and leaving at the tip of our nostrils is our object of meditation. So we focus our attention on this sensation and ignore everything else. To begin with, our minds may be quite busy, and we may be tempted to follow the thoughts that arise, but we should resist this temptation. And whenever our mind wanders, return it to the breath and remain moment by moment just with this sensation. Let the mind settle, remain, become still, focused on the breath. Keep returning to the breath, Let your mind become still. when the turbulence of our distracting thoughts subsides and the mind becomes still, focused on the breath. Naturally, a feeling of peace and contentment arises from within. We can stay with this state of mental calm for a while. So carrying with us now this experience of a more calm and spacious mind, we can begin to relax our concentration and allow ourselves to emerge from our meditation. Right. So tonight I'm hoping we can come to understand, at least intellectually, and then over time, experientially, how we can correctly view each and every living being, everyone, as kind to us, as kind to us. So if we do this, or when we do this, then naturally we will feel warmly towards everyone. We'll feel connected to everyone. We will love everyone, actually. So I think all of us know, when we love someone, when we feel warmth towards them, feel connected to them, it's a very nice feeling, isn't it? It feels good, makes us feel happy. When we think of someone we love and we feel that warmth, that connection, it feels very nice, And like for me, I love my mum. So when I think about my mum, it's like this warm, fuzzy feeling, and I think, oh, I love my mum. And there's this, beautiful warmth in our heart that makes us feel very happy, actually. So wouldn't it be beautiful if we had that same sense of warmth, that affection, that appreciation for everyone we met, everyone we thought about? So we probably think, well, that would be nice, but don't know if that's going to happen. So we will naturally come to love others, cherish them, feel this warmth for them, if we view them as kind. When we think about anyone who has been kind to us, how do we feel about them? We feel good, don't we? We feel like, whenever anyone's, we think this person's been kind to me, we automatically want to repay that person's kindness. Like we feel appreciative of that person and we feel grateful to them. We have this warmth for them, naturally, for those people who we consider to be kind to us. So Buddha explained that we can correctly see everyone as kind to us. And of course, if we do, or when we do, we will have this feeling of appreciation towards everyone. And we'll feel as though we live in a world of kindness. So that's probably not how we feel at the moment, is it? No, most of us don't feel, I think, that we live in a world filled with kindness. I think there are many unkind people in our world. So what we'll hopefully understand is that we're not, it's not that people are objectively kind, because quite evidently some people are not what we would call kind. But even these people eventually, the ones that we think are unkind, eventually even those people we can come to recognize as being kind to us. So it's helpful to think about what it means when we think someone's kind to us. Normally we think they've done something nice, but if we look a little bit more deeply, I think what we come to recognize is that when we think someone's kind to us, it's because in some way they've benefited us, they've done something nice for us, they've helped us in some way, like they've contributed to our happiness or our well-being in some way. It's like they've shown us a kindness. Now we've benefited. So I think ultimately kindness means this. It means that someone or something has done something that's benefited us in some way. So then for us it's a kindness. And we can see everyone as a kind to us in this way. I mean, we see sometimes other things as kind. Like perhaps, if we're organising a party, we want some particular kind of weather. We don't want it to rain. We don't want it to be too hot. It's just like just right is what we want. And if that's what we get, we say things, don't we? Like, the weather was very kind to us, very kind to me, for my event like this. And what we mean, of course, is that the weather behaved in a way that benefited us. But the weather had no intention to benefit us. It just was, what we were hoping for. We received benefit from the way it was. So that's true of things like the weather, but it's also true of people. If people benefit us, help us in any way, then from our point of view, we can correctly see that person as kind to us. Does this make sense so far? And if we see them in that way, then naturally we'll feel this warmth, this connection towards them. So I'm going to share with you this evening a little segment from this book, How to Transform Your Life, by my teacher, Venerable Geshe Kelsang Gyatso Rinpoche. And in this book, amongst many other wonderful things, he explains that other living beings are inconceivably kind to us. So there's a section in the book that's called The Kindness of Others. And there's pages and pages that we can read and contemplate how others have been so kind to us. And as we do this, then we feel this connection with others. We feel this warmth towards others. We start to recognize that, the sense that we sometimes have, that we're some self-sufficient, independent entity, bears no relation to reality. That in reality we are completely dependent upon other people. We're affected by them, and they in turn are affected by the things that we do. So in a way, this present situation that we have in our world, very unusual situation with this pandemic, shows us very clearly, doesn't it, our interconnectedness. Because, part of the reason that this virus has spread so widely is because we are interconnected. And we can also recognize how in this situation we're affected by other people, and they in turn are affected by the things that we do. In Western Australia we have the most wonderful conditions, extraordinary situation that we have at the moment, unlike anywhere else in the world. It may not last, but for the time being this is what we have. But elsewhere, perhaps more clearly, people seeing this interconnectedness, and recognizing that their behavior impacts on other people, seeing this. So for example, I was talking yesterday to my daughter who's in Melbourne, and it was very beautiful talking to her because she was talking about her sense of social responsibility in adhering to the regulations, the guidelines that are in place, and was very firm about it. She's just in her 20s, and some people have said, these young people are out doing all these things, but it was really heartening to hear this recognition that everyone's affected if we don't do our part, and everyone's also affected if we do, So, really seeing clearly this interconnectedness of people. And in reality, we are all interconnected. We are interconnected in a web of kindness from which it's impossible to separate ourselves. So we're going to think about how this is true. So in his book, Venerable Geshe, he explains that everything we have, everything we enjoy, including our very life, is due to the kindness of others. In fact, every happiness there is in the world arises as a result of others' kindness. So everything we have, everything we enjoy, including our very life, is due to the kindness of others. Every happiness there is in the world arises as a result of others' kindness. So this is like not our normal way of thinking, no. But as I'm going to explain, hopefully we'll see it is the truth. It's just the truth. Yeah. So everything we have, everything we enjoy, including our very life, due to others' kindness. So we'll start with our life, because without our life, then we don't experience any other kindnesses. So, this life that we have, this human life, we have as a direct result of others' kindness. If we think back to the very beginning of this life, where did our life come from? It came from the sperm and ovum of our parents. Yeah? They provided the kind of raw materials, if you like, for our body, and as a result of their kindness in giving us those initial cells, and the kindness of our mum, who looked after us all the time we were in her womb, made sure that she ate all the right things, did all the right exercises, didn't do anything that would harm us. We grew and developed, and as a result of that, have this human life. It's principally due to her kindness that we have this human body and are able to do all the things that we enjoy as human beings. She put up with a lot of discomfort as well, didn't she, to get us into the world. And we forget these things, but in reality, these are all kindnesses that particularly our mum showed us. So it's very helpful to think about this. And in How to Transform Your Life, there are many pages actually specifically about the kindness of mothers, kindness of our mum. And, oftentimes, particularly these days, people have difficulties with their parents. Maybe they have difficult relationships with their parents, with their mum, for example. And if we think deeply about the kindness that we've received from our parents, particularly our mum, giving us this life, and all the kindness we received while we were in her womb, then I think it helps us greatly. With any difficulties we might have, we come to appreciate something like the most valuable thing that she gives us, which is our life. So then, regardless of what happened since then, because obviously for some people, having given birth, we may think, well, she wasn't that kind. But we can think back to being given this life and recognise that kindness. It helps a lot, and it's true. Yeah. So, our mother, through her kindness, gave us this life. And for most of us, the kindness of our parents didn't stop there, did it? For most of us, they continued to care for us. If it wasn't our parents, it was somebody else who kind of performed the functions that parents perform generally. So from the moment we were born, we were given a home, food, clothes. We were cared for by others' kindness, giving us these things. As human babies, we're pretty helpless, aren't we? When human babies are born, they can't do anything for themselves. Animal babies much more capable often than human babies. So it's through others' kindness that we survived. Providing us with food and shelter and so on, and keeping us safe and warm, making sure that we grew well. And as we grew, then we were taught many skills. Like right from the most basic skills, probably taught to us by our parents. Skills that we still use to this day. Very useful things like how to eat, how to talk and walk. These basic skills we were taught by others. It's due to their kindness that we know how to do these things. And then as we grew, we learnt many other things. We went to school, we learnt, so many things at school through the kindness of others, and then on to maybe higher education, and then vocational education, taught things that enable us to do the job that we do. So all of these skills that we have, which we call our own, don't we, actually were given to us by others. That everything we learn or we know how to do, we know how to do because someone showed us how to do it. It's actually due to their kindness that we have the skills that we have, that we can do the things that we can do. So, normally we don't see these things, we don't think about them, do we? But when we stop to think about it, we can, I think, quite easily recognise this is simply the truth. Nothing I'm saying is, we can't, we know it's true. We just know. And, as we grew, not only our education, but everything given to us, through the kindness of others. So we think about all the food we've eaten. Imagine all the food we've eaten in our life. Kind of piling it all up. It'd be like a mountain, wouldn't it? And all this food, or most of it anyway, is provided due to others' kindness. I know maybe some of us have got little veggie patches or something and we grow a bit of our own food, but the vast majority of it we don't grow. Other people grow, other people produce our food, and we enjoy it through their kindness. They grow it, they pick it, transport it, process it, package it, often cook it, and we just eat it. So all the food we eat also comes as a result of the kindness of others. And of course, we have this human life, this body that we now have, as a result of that constant nourishment that we've received due to others' kindness. Sometimes we object and we think, yeah, but I pay for my food. I pay for my food. So probably we do. Most of us have to pay for the food that we eat. But our money doesn't create food, does it? If we put our money in the ground, we don't get food. It's not our money that produces our food, it's other people that do that. No, we benefit from the food that we have. Yeah, of course we have to pay for it, but it's due to their kindness, not due to our money, in reality, that we have food. And if we think, well, it is because of my money, well, okay, how do we get our money? Have to work for it. Yeah, we have to work for our money. So that means somebody employs us. somebody appreciates whatever skills we have and wants to pay us for them. So it's actually their kindness that enables us to have money. Yeah, but I work really hard. Of course, no. We work hard in the jobs that we do to earn the money that we earn, but it's due to others' kindness that we have the job that we have. And it's due to others' kindness that we have the skills that we need in order to do the job that we do and earn the money we earn and buy the things that we like. You know, everything that we enjoy, you know, all of our, our possessions, all the kind of gadgets that we use, all the food that we have, we think they're ours because we pay for them. But in reality, they're ours due to the kindness of others. Our money is due to the kindness of others, our work, and all the things that we use every day, all the kind of modern gadgets and technology, other people created, manufactured, sold. We use them, we benefit from them, but we did little or nothing to actually produce them. In reality, all these things are ours due to the kindness of others. So this is true of everything. No. All the facilities we take for granted, such as houses, cars, roads, shops, schools, hospitals, and the internet, are produced solely through others' kindness. When we travel by bus or car, we take the roads for granted, but many people have worked very hard to build them and make them safe for us to use. So all these things we use every day, don't we? We have houses that we live in, we go to the shops, we use cars, drive along the roads. Hopefully we don't go to hospital too much, but it's there when we need it. Like all of these things are produced through others' kindness. We use them, we take them for granted actually often, don't we? We only notice when they're not functioning as we think they should. Like we complain a lot about roadworks, you know, like, roadworks again. You know, why are they working on the roads? Well, they're working on the roads to make them safe for us to use. And, you know, it takes a lot of work. A lot of people involved in building a road. And we just drive along it, don't we? Like, road, and we notice the road when it's, when there's something wrong with the road. It's got potholes in it or there's roadworks, then we notice. But the rest of the time we take the roads for granted. We take all of these things for granted. And the result of that is that instead of appreciating them and appreciating the kindness of many people who work so hard to produce them, we just get kind of grumpy and, start mentally concocting an angry email to send off to somebody when they're not working in the way that we think they should. So, if we see the kindness that's there, we will feel very differently about other people. We'll feel very differently about all these facilities, for example. Instead of taking them for granted, we will deeply appreciate them, and we'll deeply appreciate the kindness of all the people who are involved in their creation. You know, instead of just noticing when they're not working, we will feel so appreciative, so connected with everyone who is involved in their being there. So, the other day, I went to visit a friend, and when I came out of her house in the evening, it was dark, and as I was walking along, I was thinking, it's terribly dark. I'm sure it's not usually this dark here. It's a bit dangerous, actually, it's so dark. And I looked around and I realised that the street lamp wasn't working. I think, that's why it's so dark. Street lamp's not working. So maybe we just need to check, but like normally when that kind of thing happens, we think, right, I'm going to get onto the council tomorrow, let them know street lamps are out, and they need to come along and fix it, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous when the street lamps aren't working. And we can get ourselves quite agitated about it, and, mentally demanding that action be taken, and get quite angry sometimes. So maybe we have this experience occasionally. Because it's not working. But we didn't notice the street lamp when it was. We only notice when these things don't work, and then we get agitated, we get upset. So there's a very beautiful story of Venerable Geshe Kelsang, the founder of my tradition and my teacher, when he first went to England and established our tradition. So he was brought up in Tibet and later on in India, lived in India, and moved to the UK in the mid-70s and established our tradition. And of course, where he'd been brought up in Tibet and then in India, they didn't have street lights. Didn't have them. No. And of course, when he came to England, he was in the Lake District. It's actually quite dark there at night. A bit like here, not a lot of light pollution. And one evening, he and some students from the centre were going for a walk, and it was quite dark. And they were walking along the pavement, and every few metres, Geshe would stop and a little bit like shake his head and say, "How kind." And they'd continue walking, and again, stop. "How kind." And the people who were with him were sort of nudging each other and saying, "What's he on about? What's he talking about?" And they thought it was some, funny little Tibetan thing going on. But he kept doing it. And eventually somebody asked him, he stopped and, "How kind." And someone said to him, "Geshe, what are you on about? What's with the how kinds?" And they were stopped under a street lamp. And what Geshe was seeing and appreciating was the kindness of all the people who were involved in that street lamp being there. That he was seeing that, a feeling grateful, feeling appreciative of the kindness of all the people who were in any way involved. And, it's a simple thing, we think, a street lamp, but actually, putting street lamps in place is a lot of work. And, originally, we think back decades, when street lamps were first thought of, somebody must have thought it would be a good idea, it would make things safer for people if we had lights at night. And probably the person who suggested it, to others, they said, "Well, it's a good idea, but it's a bit impossible, So there had to be a lot of persuasion of different people to kind of get on board with the idea. And then gradually, more and more people, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea." And then it has to be kind of implemented. So, of course, today we take street lamps completely for granted. They're there, aren't they? And we only notice them when they're out. So I think we have to check, is this true? And then we know what happens. We just get agitated when they're out. We could, if we wanted to, instead of doing that, see the kindness of them being there. And if we were to do that, we would feel quite differently about, obviously, the street lamps, but also we can feel differently about all the people involved in creating that street lamp that's benefiting us, making us, the place we're walking be safe, and so on. So it's a very beautiful thing to do. You know, when you have a moment, quiet moment, to pick something small and simple, and ask, how many people could I, if I wanted to? So that's the kind of important bit. If I wanted to, how many people could I feel appreciative towards with respect to, you know, one small thing? So we can pick something small. So I remember, again, Venerable Geshe gave this teaching once about the kindness of his breakfast. And he's like, okay, simple thing, cup of tea, piece of toast. So if you just take the tea, you know, so when we drink a cup of tea, we just have a cup of tea. We don't think much about it. But in reality, many people were involved in our getting that cup of tea. You know, if we just think the tea itself, like tea is grown, and picked and processed and packaged and what have you. So if we were to allow ourselves, we're drinking our cup of tea, we've got nothing else to do for a moment, how many people could I, if I wanted to, feel grateful towards, feel appreciative towards with respect to my cup of tea? So we start with the tea bag. Think, okay, what's involved in a tea bag? Well, I need tea to go in the bag. So tea's grown in a field. So there's people who tended the field, you know, prepared the ground, planted the crops, harvest the crops, picked the tea, transported the tea, processed, packaged the tea, and so on. And many, many people involved in that process. And of course, in order to pick and pack the tea, there's many other processes involved. You know, to move the tea around, then we need trucks and roads. And so, you know, trucks are quite complicated things, got many parts. All the parts are made by people. All the raw materials for the parts are gathered by many other people. And then there's the roads, you know. So many people involved in creating roads, and petrol to go in the truck, and somebody who knows how to drive the truck. So all the people who trained them to do the various things that they need to do. And then maybe it goes to a factory where it's kind of processed in some way, you know. So factories are amazing places. Whenever I go to the UK, which obviously I'm not doing at the moment, but when I go to the UK and stay with my mum, there's a programme I love to watch on telly called In the Factory. I think it's called that. And they go into the factories and they kind of like see what happens from end to end. And it's amazing because like there's, you know, so many different machines, and they have very specific jobs that they perform. And each one of those machines has been created by somebody and produced, manufactured to do its job. And there's all these people who are, you know, working in these factories. And it's like, whenever I watch it, it's just like this massive teaching on the kindness of others. It's like the simplest thing. I was very fond of the ones about baked beans when I was there. That's one of my favourites. But like, it's true of everything. Like the food we eat, it's all packaged and processed. So with respect to our tea, we can think about that and think how many people involved in creating the building that is the factory and all the things that are in it. And then the tea gets to the shops, and you know it has to be put on the shelves, and then we go along and we pick the tea off the shelf, and we go to the counter and we pay for the tea, and we, I don't know, tap our card or our phone or our ring or watch or whatever it is we've got our card details on, and somehow the money magically transfers and we get our tea. And we take it home, we have a cup of tea. So there's all the banking industry as well. We can feel grateful to them. And the people who provide the electricity for the shops, and all the people who put things on the shelves, and all the people who feed them so that they're strong enough to move around and do their jobs. It's like when you start to like let your mind go with this, we eventually arrive at the conclusion that there is like nobody, that we can confidently leave out of our consideration of kindness with respect to something as simple as our tea. And that's before we get any milk or a cup. It's going to be a long breakfast, isn't it? But it's very beautiful to think about, because it's actually true, and we don't think about it. But if we did, we would start to feel this connectedness. We would start to feel grateful towards everyone eventually, yeah? Because of the kindness they are showing us, like through their activities of, all those different processes, all those different people, through their activities, we benefit. We get a cup of tea. So from our point of view, their activities are a kindness. There's a kindness to us. So sometimes we have other objections. We have lots of objections to this usually. I think, yeah, but they don't mean to be kind. They don't mean it. The people who built the roads and the people who picked the tea, they weren't thinking, one day Annie's going to drive along this road and it'll be lovely and safe for her to drive along. And the people who picked the tea weren't thinking, one day Annie's going to have a lovely cup of tea and think, so beautiful, and appreciate what we're doing. They weren't thinking, I want to be kind. They're just like doing their job. They just want a buck. So maybe. If we're honest, we don't actually know, do we? We don't know other people's intentions. We like to think we do. And usually we think in unhelpful ways. We think, have all sorts of cynical ideas. But in reality, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know other people's minds. We don't know their intentions. And to be honest, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter what their intention is, because we benefit from their activities. Yeah, we benefit. I mentioned the weather at the beginning, like the weather has no intention to benefit, but if it's what we want, like it's nice weather, then we benefit. We say the weather's kind to me. Yeah. So regardless of people's intention, if we're benefiting personally, they're helping us in any way, we can correctly see that as a kindness. We can see those people as kind to us. So rather than focusing on their motivation, which in any case we do not know, we should focus on the practical benefit we receive. The practical benefit we receive. Everyone who contributes in any way to our happiness and well-being is deserving of our gratitude and respect. If we had to give back everything that others have given us, we would have nothing left at all. Nothing. So it's very humbling to think about this. If I had to give back everything that I've been given by somebody else, what would I have left? I'll just let you think about it for a second or two. Like in reality, we would have nothing left, not even our body, not our life, nothing. Everything we have, everything we enjoy, everything we use is due to the kindness of others. So if we start to see this, like recognize it, because the kindness is there. It's like Geshe with the lamppost. It is there. It's up to us whether we choose to see it. But if we do, then we will feel very differently about the world we live in and the people that inhabit that world. No, we will start to feel that we really are connected, interconnected in a web of kindness with every other living being, and that it's impossible for us to separate ourselves from that kindness. And then naturally we feel this warmth, this connection, this appreciation of other people. We start to love them. And the more we love other people, the more we care for them, the happier we are, and the happier everyone becomes in reality. We all would love, probably, world peace. And Buddha explains this is not difficult to accomplish. We simply need to learn to love other people. If everyone tried to love other people, the problems of our world would be solved very quickly. Very quickly. So we can begin to love others, appreciate others, feel this affection for others by seeing their kindness, by seeing it because it's there. So everything is due to the kindness of others. So not only our kind of physical well-being, but also our spiritual well-being, our spiritual opportunities we have due to the kindness of others. Obviously this beautiful centre that you all enjoy was created by others. Were people working very hard. But then, from a place such as this, beautiful teachings, books maybe, opportunities to share with others, and grow spiritually. Those opportunities also are created by others. And, as we grow spiritually and we learn that what we need, like every one of us, what we need in order to be truly happy is inner peace or peace of mind, mental peace. And that there are states of mind which naturally produce that experience of inner peace and therefore make us happy. We get very interested in deliberately cultivating, developing those states of mind, those attitudes of mind and ways of thinking that cause us to be peaceful on the inside and therefore make us happy. Like love. Like love does that. But also, minds like patience. Patient acceptance is the most beautiful, stable, strong, virtuous mind that protects us from problems. Eventually it will protect us from all problems, as will love. And these inner developments, these mental developments of these beautiful attitudes of mind also depend upon the kindness of others. Like, how can we learn to love without other people to love? Like, really. We can do, we can sit in our room and meditate on love for everybody, but in order to know that we really have a loving heart, we need other people, don't we? To love, to practice really loving. And if we want to become generous, have a generous heart, we need other people to give to. And if we want to be patient, we need some people to irritate us. It's true. Can any of us learn to be patient when everyone's being nice? No. It's easy, isn't it? There's nothing to do, really, if everyone's being nice to us. No? It's easy to love people who are nice to us. It's easy to love people who are, and be patient with people who are, doing everything in the way that we'd like them to do it. It's much, much more difficult with people who are not being so nice, who are maybe trying to push our buttons, you know. So those people, those difficult people, people perhaps we think there are people who are unlovable, the people we think are actually not kind. In reality, eventually, it's a bit further down the track perhaps, but eventually we will come to regard those people as the kindest of all, most precious, most kind to us. So not objectively kind. This is important because, many people would say they're not kind, they're doing unkind things. But from our point of view, we can see those people are kind to us because, they're the most difficult to love, aren't they? So if we can love them, we have got such a strong, stable mind of love. Our love is like unshakable. And that love protects us, protects others from harm, makes us happy. And in reality, it's the most difficult people who enable us to train our mind most powerfully. They give us the biggest mental workout. Same is true of patience. So maybe I'm going a bit far. I'm looking a bit worried. But ultimately, as we come to value more and more these beautiful states of mind that Buddha explained and encouraged us to develop that give rise to mental peace and joy for us and for others, we will recognize I can only develop these states of mind in dependence upon the kindness of others. It's through their kindness I can learn to love, I can learn to be patient, and so on. Without them, actually, I can't do it. So I hope it's follow all of this, because what this enables us to understand is how eventually we can come to recognize each and every living being, everyone in our world, as kind to us, helping us, benefiting us, contributing to our happiness and well-being. Everyone. And then, naturally, because we appreciate their kindness, we have this warmth, this connectedness. We want to repay their kindness. We feel everyone we meet is important. Their happiness matters to us because they're kind to us. That's our reason, because of their kindness. So it's very beautiful to think about this. I know this is like so counter to our normal way of thinking, but I think we can know easily that this is simply the truth. It's just the truth. And if we open our heart and our mind to that truth, let it in, how we view other people, how we view our world changes radically for the better. So beautiful. And gradually, over time, we come to feel that we inhabit a world of kindness, that we are interconnected with everyone, every other living being, in this web of kindness from which it's impossible to separate ourselves. So, from one point of view, it's not difficult to understand this. But more importantly, we need to feel it. We need to experience it. And to do this, what I'd suggest is that we conduct our own little experiments. Because it's all very well for me to sit here and explain this to you, and we can read it in the book. And if you'd like a copy of this book, then I think at the back on the table, as you go out, if you'd like to, there are some little cards which, if you take one away, explain how to receive this book as a free ebook. Free ebook, okay? So Venerable Geshe so deeply wishes for everyone to have the opportunity to understand such meaningful things such as this, that he has made this book available as a free ebook to anyone who would like it. It's like his gift to everyone in our world. It's available in many different languages as well, so if you want it in a language other than English, it's probably available in that language as a free download. So if you'd like to pick up a card and take one away, and you can receive this gift. But we could read it. We can think, yep, that makes sense. Probably with everything I've said, we can go, yep, get that. Good, got it, kindness. People are kind, right, okay. What next? Move on. We're like we're so quick, aren't we? We're just like, yep, got it. It's like, but we haven't got it at all. Not really. And we've got it intellectually, but much, much more helpful if we can get it experientially. So, Buddha said, don't believe anything because I'm Buddha, didn't he? He said, check it, test it. So I think, we can just know that everything that I've shared is true. But if we conduct our own experiment, we can come to know its truth experientially. So just like an idea, which of course, not compulsory homework or anything, but if you'd like to, during the course of the next few days, spend half a day as normal, whatever normal is, but quite for many of us it's like, growling and complaining, and we've got this kind of critical monologue going on in our mind about everything that's wrong in the world and with everybody. So half a day like that, as usual. How do I feel? And then the other half of the day, deliberately see kindness. Deliberately do it. And see what effect it has. On how you feel and, how you interact with other people, the effect it has on them. If we do our own little experiments like this, then very quickly we know, not just in our head, but in our heart, we know how helpful it is to view things in this way. Helpful for us and helpful for others. We feel this warmth towards others. We feel this love, makes us happy. But of course also other people appreciate our warmth towards them. So everyone benefits from this way of thinking, of seeing things, not just us. And if we do our own little experiments like this, we'll think, wow, that's amazing. I should do that more often. And then, hopefully we will, and then gradually, it's like we develop a new mental habit, a new way of seeing things that's actually so much more helpful than our present way of seeing things, viewing things. And in reality is in accordance with the truth. So Geshe says, in short, we need others for our physical, emotional and spiritual well-being. Without others, we are nothing. So we can think about the many ways in which others are kind to us, from which we benefit from their activities. And then we'll feel this warmth. We'll think, I need to love others because they're kind to me. And it becomes our conclusion. It's like we decide, I'm going to love others because they're so kind to me. And we feel this appreciation, this love, this warmth, this connectedness. We feel we are interconnected in a web of kindness from which it's impossible to separate ourselves. Everything there is in our world arises due to the kindness of others. So thank you all very much for giving me the opportunity to share what I feel is the most beautiful teaching, and gives so much benefit in our lives, very practically benefits us and others. So I hope that you feel somewhat inspired to try, if you don't already do this, try this and experience the effects of seeing kindness for yourself. The effect it has on yourself, the people around you, and ultimately on our world. Because we are all interconnected. Everyone is affected by what we do. If we change our mind in this way, it has a beneficial effect on everyone eventually. All right, so does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? I'm happy to, I'm not sure, we've got a couple of minutes. If anyone has anything they'd like to ask, I'm happy to try and offer some answer. I think there's a microphone appearing. Is that right? Yeah. You'd like, yeah, hello. Nice to see you. Are microphones coming in your direction?
Kelsang Ani, thanks for the wonderful talk on kindness, Yeah. Kindness, the Buddha's teaching is full of kindness and love, And kindness, which is a very positive energy that spreads out to make people happy,
Yeah.
And coming back to the world peace now, with COVID being pandemic, that energy is a very negative energy, isn't it? And then look back, like the last few years is I notice it's been building up this,
Yeah.
So what I mean is this thing, if we can, the whole world, vaccine is one thing, if we can all together spread that kindness,
Yeah.
that virus has got no chance to develop at all.
That's right.
Coming back to, when I was in Malaysia, this high priest, very K.C. Dhammaloka, he passed away, He was telling us all, if the energy around is good, positive, all these viruses have got no chance to enter us. I've always believed that thing.
Yeah.
It's connected,
Yeah, of course. Well, everything. Everything is created by our mind, depends upon our mind. And our experiences, that's also true of. So we have this experience at the moment of having this pandemic. When if we change our mind, we can, of course, change what the outcomes can be from that. Yeah.
And then, this, in front of us, this letters, make peace, be kind, be gentle. There's Ajahn Brahms, motto. We just do a thing now.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's make war, be unkind, be rough or whatever this thing or what.
Yeah. So I think that's true that we see a lot of, observe a lot of that kind of behaviour in our world, and we want, we wish with all our heart for things to change, but and for that to happen, we try to change ourselves, because if each one of us takes personal responsibility for our own attitudes of mind and changes those for the better, it has a ripple effect on the people around us, and that ripple can just grow. And so, for me anyway, it feels like each one of us just needs to take that responsibility, not wait for everyone else to be kind, but think, okay, I'm going to think in this way, in a more positive way, and see the kindness that's actually there, and share with other people how to do that, because it is there. And even in this situation that we're in, there are many stories of kindness. Many people, working very hard to care for people and so on, who are sick, and putting themselves in danger. So there's, as with everything, things that are seemingly bad have good come from them. You know, and one of the things, you know, a lot of people are talking to me about how their lifestyle has changed and how they are appreciating the people close to them in their lives. They're appreciating doing simple things together and spending time together and feeling that connectedness in that way. And that's as a direct result of, for example, being locked down with your family. You know, so those beautiful things have happened as a direct result of something that seems bad. So from that point of view, it can be good.
And all this energy, you know, it tends to come from the top, you know. If the top gives good energy, all will follow suit, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
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 And what gives me hope is this thing, is the Buddha's impermanence.
Yeah.
We hope things will change, this thing, you know.
Well, things will change.
Yes,
if we change
and
our
we hope
mind,
that we have
everything
someone
is
who can give
impermanent, as you
love,
say.
you know, this thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And shoo all these negative things, COVID, all, you know,
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's very, in our tradition, we normally have 3 international festivals a year. And this year they've all gone online because, of course, we can't kind of physically gather. But whenever I go to those festivals, I'm always so inspired because it's almost like they're a little microcosm of what's possible in the world. Because everyone who goes, and people gather from like 40, 50 countries sometimes, you know, from all over the globe, and we all kind of get squished together for teachings and meditations and things. And the conditions, physically, practical conditions, are not always 100% comfortable. But, and everyone who goes tries, to the best of their ability, to cherish the other people, to care, be considerate of them and so on. And it works. It works so beautifully, so well. And I always come away feeling so encouraged and inspired, because I think if a few thousand people squished together for a couple of weeks can live so harmoniously, there is hope for our world. And it's just because of love. And love we will naturally feel towards others if we see them as kind. So we see kindness that is there, this love will come. So we can try. And then maybe from the bottom up we have to do it, rather than from the top down. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, somebody, sorry.
Testing. Yeah, thanks for the talk. And just wondering if this idea of the web of interconnectedness of kindness can be extrapolated out to the animal kingdom.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because obviously,
yeah, it doesn't stop at
it
doesn't stop with human beings.
And then it doesn't stop there. It could go all the way to the virus, and like through insects down to lower and lower and smaller creatures.
Yeah.
Could be that the virus are acting out of kindness, and we just don't know the lesson yet.
Yeah.
I'm
sure that in time, you know, there'll be many valuable things that will come from this situation that we're in. Yeah. I think we already see some, you know, but yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. No, thank you. This lady here. Yeah. I think it's just make sure everybody else can hear. Thank you.
Yeah, with kindness,
Yeah.
what I struggle with and what I struggled with in particular today
Yeah.
was kindness, unkindness towards animals who are used in experiments.
Yeah.
For example, you know, reading today $1 million given by the National Health Body to these 3 scientists testing on little mice, for example, smoking, which is totally not relevant. So how, you know, I find that really hard to deal with. And how do I be kind to these people? I mean, if you can help me deal with that, because I find it very hard to deal with and accept these people.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, with this, there are things that are easy to accept and get, and then there are things that are more difficult. And when we see people behaving in harmful ways, either towards other people or towards animals, we see their activities and we see we think they're not kind. So for me anyway, the way that I can begin to understand how I could, in theory, see those people as kind is recognizing that it would be difficult, and it is difficult, to love them, for example. But if I were able to love them, my loving heart would be very strong and stable. And because they're more difficult to love than somebody whose activities and actions I agree with, for example, those people, for me then, are kinder because mentally they're making me stronger. So I mean, to begin with, there are going to be some people, and probably we've all got lots of them in our mind, that we really struggle with for various different reasons. So for you, it's those people who are harming animals. So what I think is most helpful to do is not to start with them. To be honest, like, don't start with the hardest. Don't start with the people that you find it most challenging with. Start with those that it's easier to see as kind. And then gradually, as we improve our mind of love and we appreciate more and more deeply the value of having a loving heart and having a patient, accepting mind, for example, as we begin to appreciate more and more deeply those states of mind that give rise to peace and happiness for us and for others, then the people who enable us to develop more and more strength around those minds, we see them as kinder because it's harder. It's like when we, but it's like when we go to the gym. We wouldn't go to the gym and pick up the heaviest weights because it would floor us. And we start with the small ones, and then gradually we build our strength until eventually we can maybe lift the really heavy ones. It's like those people who we see as unkind are like the big heavy weights. So put them to one side, start with, the ones we can work with. See the kindness that we can recognise more easily. And as our recognition of kindness and our virtuous minds, our loving minds, our patient minds and so on grow, we will value those people who are difficult to love more highly. But it will definitely take time, so don't start there, would be my suggestion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can understand from what you're saying. What I'm learning now is that I can maintain my love and kindness towards others and all beings without them disturbing me. Yeah. So I can still radiate that.
Yes.
And one more question then.
Yeah.
Do I take the path of least resistance, or do I take action to change that harm?
To change their actions.
The harm, yeah.
Well, I think we need to make a distinction between an inner problem and an outer problem. And if we have an inner problem, and by that I mean an unhappy or angry mind towards those people, we need to sort that out before we try to do anything about the outer problem, which is their activities or their behaviour. Because if we try to solve problems, outer problems, like people's behaviour or their activities out of anger, it just creates a lot of conflict. Whereas if we can try to address their behaviour or their activities out of love and out of acceptance, accepting them, and in reality, if we love people, especially when we understand karma, we will want to protect them from harm. So those people who are harming, out of love, we would try to encourage them not to engage in those activities, because while at the moment they're harming others, they're creating the causes to receive harm themselves. And they don't realize they're doing it. And so out of love, we would try to help them. But we need to sort out our mind first, because otherwise we just go with anger, and it doesn't work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting talk. Yeah, coming back to this kindness, unkindness, Kelsang Ani, sometimes we don't know, the person's motive.
No, we don't.
They're kind or what, okay?
Yeah.
A lot of times I hear things, okay? Oh, I don't know what's good. What comes to my mind is karma, I just think the truth of the universe was a law of karma, okay? Will decide the outcome.
Yeah.
Understand or not? If the intention is negative, well, karma takes its course. You get your retribution, in brackets, retribution.
Yeah.
If it's a good with good intention, then you get your.
That's right.
Your rewards, in brackets.
Yeah. So if our actions are well motivated, we have a good intention, then the results of those actions will be positive.
Yes.
If our actions are have a negative intention, then they will produce a negative effect, a negative result. And and that understanding helps us with people who we see harming, because through their actions, not understanding karma, they, in harming others, they're creating the cause to receive harm themselves that they don't want. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody in their right mind creates suffering for themselves. And yet, we all do through our harmful actions, because we don't understand, or we don't understand deeply enough the law of karma. Because if we did, we would not do
That's right.
the
Sad
things.
enough, a lot of people, they don't believe it,
Yeah.
Because like in Buddhism,
Yeah.
I'm brought to understand, with karma.
Yeah.
If you create the karma, you can't run away and hide at any corner.
Yeah.
It will seek you out. The thing. But
Well,
karma follows you like a shadow.
Yeah, it does follow you like a shadow. It's not. There's no It's not vindictive, though. It's just a law of cause and effect, and what goes around comes around. I mean, many people accept that at a basic level, but I mean, the law of karma is simple from that point of view, but it has complexities because karma functions between different lifetimes. So often we can't explain the experiences of this life in the context of this life, and therefore we struggle with karma. But once we understand and know the existence of past lives, then we have no problem with karma. And we have no problem, or less problem, with the experiences of this life, because we understand whatever experiences we have, good or bad, we created the causes for those experiences through our past actions. So, it helps us to choose wisely our actions, and helps us to be more accepting of difficult circumstances in our life, like the situation that we're in now, it's the karma of all of us. But individually, people's experiences are quite different in the context of even this pandemic, for example. Big topic, karma. All right. Oh, sorry. One more down here. Please do feel free to leave if you need to go. But I'm happy to answer a few more questions if you'd like to ask them.
Just on that topic of, is this working?
Yeah, it is now.
Can't tell because I'm.
Yeah, it is.
Would you say it's at all necessary to become aware of past life actions or things like that along the path?
So, no, not necessarily. I mean, I think we need to develop conviction in the existence of our past lives, and we can do that through understanding our mind and recognizing that our mind is a continuum of consciousness. And, we can track back, like mentally track back our mind to the beginning of this life, this thought that this moment of consciousness now is preceded by a previous moment of consciousness. And if we were to follow that back, each moment of consciousness preceded by a previous moment, we would eventually arrive at the first moment of consciousness of this life. And the logic then carries us into, well, where did the first moment of consciousness of this life come from? Well, it had to come from a previous moment of consciousness. Where was that consciousness? It was the last moment of consciousness of our previous life. So through understanding our own mind, and we can know our own mind through our own observation, then through that observation and through logical reasoning, we can come to know with certainty the existence of our past lives. And then we know, we've had countless previous lives and engaged in all sorts of actions. Everything we experience is the result of our past actions. So if something's appearing in our world, it's because we created the causes for it to appear through our actions that we performed. So, yeah.
Thank you for your kindness.
Thank you. Up, a couple more. I don't know if Stephen's... Are we all right for time? Do we need to stop at a certain time? It's okay? All right.
I'll put this in fairly simplistic terms. In terms of hard determinism, if one were to look at kindness within that area...
Sorry, determinism, did you say?
Hard determinism.
Okay.
Within the confines of that area, if one were to look at kindness. In terms of a causal effect chain, let's say 100 years from now, when our language will be different, when our ideas will be different, when our understanding will be different, how would you place the concept of kindness within that arena?
Well, I think that everything I've explained this evening will still be 100% valid then.
Sure. It's from what I can take from you, what you have spoken about this evening.
Yeah.
That would be my understanding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for the teaching.
Thank you.
I have two queries on the topic kindness, which I believe is quite vast. Can we say, when practicing kindness, can we see it as like appreciating the temporariness or the impermanence? Like, so you have a bad boss, but that boss, for instance, you're working and you have a bad boss, that doesn't mean that that bad boss is going to be staying with you forever. So kind of like appreciating that moment, something like that?
Yeah, or we can think this person is helping me to practice patience, perhaps. Learn to be more patient, have a stronger mind of acceptance, for example. I think there are many ways of using any experience that we have usefully, meant through mental training. Yeah, so a bad boss can be helpful depending on how we think about that person.
So my second question is regarding the few animals which have been used for experiments to produce vaccines or medicine.
Yeah.
What if that researcher or that scientist is doing that out of kindness to help the entire people? For instance, let's say COVID. If the scientist is doing experiment on the animal out of kindness to to get the vaccine and to help the entire human being, will it still be not considered kindness?
Well, I mean, I think people who work in those kind of arenas do have a wish to benefit. They do. That's why they're doing what they're doing. But probably they also don't have an understanding of, for example, karma. So, although they're doing something with a wish to benefit, some people, they're indirectly, they're harming others. You know, so that there's different actions. There's an action of harming, which will have one effect, and there's an action of benefiting others that will have a different effect, I'd say. Yeah, a bit mixed. All right. I'll be turning the lights out on us in a minute. All right, so thank you all very much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. It's been very lovely to be here this evening. Thank you.